Welcome to Divisive Issues, a spoiler-filled, foul-mouthed comic book podcast where we talk about comic books and sometimes movies based on controversial comic books. I'm Ryan.
I'm Sly.
I'm Darryl.
And we have a special guest from all the way from Classic Schmassic, Owen.
Hello.
Yay.
All the way from across the pond, as the expression goes.
It's an absolute pleasure to be here, gentlemen. Thank you very much. I'm a huge fan of the show. It's a real honor to be on here.
Long-time listener, first-time caller.
That's it.
What are you from, Owen? What do you do?
I do a podcast on the Comrade Radio Network called Classic Schmassic about classic movies that I've never seen.
And more famously, you're from that Comrade episode with me on Bad Planet.
Yeah, that's the most famous.
Cool. Wait, that was you guys?
So Owen was the one who suggested our movie tonight, and he said when he does the episode, he doesn't want us to shy away from saying "fuck off" to him. So just to preface everything, fuck off, Owen, because this movie was terrible.
Yeah. So what did you bring for us, Owen?
Well, let's just get one thing straight, okay?
You have bad choices.
No. I said to Ryan, okay, hey, we should do something together. Why don't I know because you have your comics podcast, but we both love comics, so I don't want to kind of tread on the toes of that. So why don't we do? There's like a DC animated movie that's just come out about Teen Titans, and you're into all that kind of shit, I'm sure.
Emphasis
That
on
garbage.
shit.
And then, but it morphed into from small acorns, great oaks grow, and now I'm on like the proper show. This was just going to be some sort of, Bad Planet Part 2 bullshit that only 16 people listen to, but not the thousands of listeners out there that are going to be hearing this. So, I'm hugely intimidated here, guys.
Can I say something that's an aside? That
Yes.
I am blown away that we have our first metaphor on the show.
A metaphor for what?
Because I was like, wait, are you saying things that sound good?
Oh,
Oh, the acorn.
Acorns.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Owen's a true poet laureate, unlike us.
So we're going to be doing Teen Titans: The Judas Contract, the animated movie based on probably the most famous Teen Titans story.
It is. It definitely is.
And all three of you read this, right? Because I haven't read this. The story it's based on.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think we'll probably get to the comparison at the end.
Yeah. We'll try to save our thoughts for the end as well, because we will just endlessly bitch about this movie. At least I will.
Yeah. So now, one thing I do want to point out is this movie is set in the new continuity of the New 52 animated movies. So they reference a bunch of stuff that I guess we're supposed to know. I don't know. But have you guys seen the other movies?
No.
I only saw the Justice League War one, which was.
Owen, have you seen them?
I've seen all of them.
Are any of them worth watching?
I mean, I've forgotten most of them. I mean, on the whole, I think the DC movies are way better than the few Marvel animated movies that have been done.
I will agree with that.
Since the new 52 continuity, it's gone massively downhill.
Yeah, they were a lot better. Basically, before they would do just standalone stories, like they would do Flashpoint, and they did a Wonder Woman anime movie, which was like a beta test for what a Wonder Woman solo movie would be like. And they were all I generally liked them, but now they're like, let's try to have them in continuity with each other, and it's been generally shit. Like most of the New 52 has been shit.
What did you think of the because they did the Dark Knight Returns and Killing Joke?
Killing Joke we hated. We did an episode on that. You can.
Oh
check it out.
yeah.
Yeah, Killing Joke was pretty bad. I didn't see Dark Knight Returns or Year One, but I heard those were actually pretty good.
They seem decent. I didn't check them out though.
Yeah, Year One's.
Did you hear that they're
Year
pretty
One's
good
really good, I think. Yeah.
From the same people that say Midnighter's really good? John.
Hey, Midnighter is really good.
Yeah, fuck you, Darryl. Now you don't have Phil back you up, and now you're by yourself.
I know. Owen, help!
I will say one thing, that in Dark Knight Returns, that animated movie, the one thing that won a lot of points was they did put the swastikas on that woman's nipples.
Oh, really?
Okay.
That's more daring than.
Because when you read the comic, you're like, yeah, they're not, because they did 2 parts, and after I saw the first part, I was like, oh my god, what are they gonna do about that big busty woman with the swastikas?
That was Owen's top priority. Like, if this movie doesn't have it, it's just
if any listeners haven't read that book, that's pretty much a good summary of Frank Miller's style.
I read it and I completely when you were talking about that, I couldn't tell if you were making a joke.
I think I say I read it and I completely liked that book.
Okay, so Judas Contract.
Yeah.
Sly, what the fuck is this movie about?
All right, so contract. It's about a contract, and
Oh my god.
And
Here we go.
there's a traitor in the group, so it's the Judas Contract. Gotcha. So the movie opens up basically 5 years ago from when modern Teen Titans exist, I believe. A bunch of bozos, as Darryl puts it, are driving the car. It's Speedy, who is not Flash's psychic. He's Green Arrow's psychic. Kid Flash, who actually is Flash's psychic. Bumblebee, who I have no idea who she is. Robin, Dick Grayson, the original Robin.
Aqualad, who is not Aquaman's sidekick.
He actually is. Fuck you, Darryl. And
Beast Boy.
Beast Boy, who is
not Beast's sidekick.
who is like the only guy besides Robin from the famous Teen Titans cartoon.
How have I never heard someone thinking Beast Boy was Beast's sidekick?
That actually makes a lot of sense because they're both like different colors and shit. Like,
Yeah, that's all it takes.
Hey, that's Marvel, bro.
Yeah.
They're
it's not even just that they're hairy; it's that they're
No,
also
I'm
weird
not
colors.
saying that they should be sidekicks. I'm saying that I'm surprised no one thinks that.
This should be their own kind, right? Right?
I don't think most people know who Beast Boy is.
I think
The Teen Titans cartoons.
yeah,
bro.
Titans
I
cartoon.
mean, I feel like if you know who Beast Boy is, you know that's DC, and you know Beast is Marvel.
I don't know. A lot of people, when they talk about DC and Marvel, they're like, "So why is Superman and Spider-Man Homecoming?" Like, I don't know. People I get questions like that all the time. But anyway,
All the time. What do you? Who? Where? Sly? Where do people ask you these questions?
no, but people like a lot of people I know in my everyday life would like do like half pay attention to shit like Owen here, because he fell asleep 5 minutes into the movie apparently.
Is that true? Owen, is that true?
No, it's not entirely true. I fell asleep multiple
Yes.
times during this movie.
But like whenever I have my family friends, they turn to me and say, "Batman is Marvel," and I was like, "No."
I like
But-
that they had to think about it. Batman is.
So wait.
I remember my wife used to say things like, "So wait, Red Tornado isn't so hit? What is he like Vision's brother or
No,
something?"
he's just a rip-off of Vision.
Oh my
Rip-off
god!
of Vision.
Learn the law. But it's fine. We're getting divorced now. It's not a problem.
Oh,
Is it over Red Tornado?
we couldn't
Yeah.
reconcile these differences. But getting to the plot, these 5 bozos.
So wait. You can't just casually mention that Owen picked this movie for us and slept through it without fucking following up on that. How much of this did you miss, Owen?
I mean, I don't know.
Because he slept through. How's he gonna
You
know?
can tell. Do you-
When we talk about it, he'll be surprised. Like, oh, that happened. Oh, I didn't even know that. This guy's the bad guy. Wow, I thought he was the good guy. So that's the
Okay,
moment.
so in this opening scene, the only thing we learn about any of these characters really is that Beast Boy loves Twitter.
Yeah, and he loves
Tweeter,
pizza.
you asshole.
Oh, it's Twitter. Sorry.
He loves pizza. He loves Twitter. He loves tweeting about pizza. So
Yes.
This really smacks to me though of like some, I don't know, some like middle-aged writer sat down at his computer going, "So what are the kids into
Yeah.
these days? Like the internets and that
Tweeters.
YouTube and all that."
yeah, the dialogue in this movie, when it tries to be quippy, is pretty almost
Oh
always
my god,
terrible.
the script is so bad.
So while they're doing all this terrible dialogue, gargoyles, aliens fly out of the sky. It's basically if you watch any sort of blockbuster from like any 5 years ago.
Avengers 1.
There's a giant hole in the sky, aliens fly out of it, and then they have to close it all up.
What do you call it, Owen?
The space anus.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's a good title for it. So
Or also interdimensional sphincter.
that's a good one too.
Yes.
So it's the person they're chasing after Starfire. If you watch the Teen cartoon, she's a star and she shoots fire. Not really. But she's like orange, sexy lady. Like her thing is that she's naive about the world.
No, I want to bring this up. I thought she was really cute in the cartoon, and I've always disliked this busty supermodel, like heavy metal version of Starfire.
See,
Even
the
though that's
funny
the original
thing-
one.
Yeah, that's the funny thing is like after the cartoon, most comic book fans that I know at least were like, can we just make her the like cute naive one? Does she always have to be like super naked? And they're getting closer, but not really. And that
Yeah.
show was like 15 years ago.
It's funny because reading if you read the actual original comics, Teen Titans this Teen Titans team was made as a response to X-Men, the new X-Men from the 70s, which introduced Storm and Wolverine. And when you read it, you can really tell because Starfire is basically a ripoff of Storm, and like Storm is like really busty, and she's like from Africa, so
Especially down to like the glowing eyes.
yeah. So like original Starfire is just a Storm ripoff, and the cartoon improved upon her.
But
Yeah.
Starfire's from India, right?
Oh yeah, because she got some coriander, or whatever the fuck, right?
Yeah, and she's from Tamarind
Yeah.
in the Tikka Masala Nebula or some shit.
Yeah, and so what they have this joke. This a good indicator of their humor is Robin saves her, and then she kisses Robin, and now she can speak English because that's how her language works apparently. And then all the other guys were like, "Hey, why don't you kiss me? I know first grade Spanish."
First
I
grade
know.
Spanish.
I'm fluent in French.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the end of that very vital scene to the movie.
Yeah,
Either-
and then it flashes forward 5 years, and the only characters that still show up again are Starfire, Beast Boy, and Robin, who's
Yeah.
now Nightwing.
Yeah, Robin grew up to be Big Boy Robin, who is Nightwing. And
I noticed that he wears that. He's got that red version of his costume.
oh yeah, that's the New 52 costume. The original costume is blue, but they made it red because it's New 52.
But by the time this movie came out, he was back in the blue
Yeah,
costume.
I don't. Who gives a shit, Ryan?
Also, a weird
'Cause-
thing is that him and Starfire have grown up, like they've aged to be adults, and Beast Boy kind of still looks the same.
Yeah, and he's like still a teenager, while Robin looks like almost an adult. So
Yeah, and it makes it even weird because Beast Boy hits on another teenager who looks like 16 years old.
Yeah, so-
But at the
the
same
whole
time, it's
movie.
only been 5 years, so it's not like it's been like 10 or 15. But it is still questionable, but not as questionable as other relationships we'll see later.
we'll see later.
But if you're a shapeshifter,
Yeah,
you could just shift yourself into a younger form.
That,
Yeah,
doesn't,
like-
that doesn't make it morally a right thing to do.
That's why you become shapeshifters for, so you could be 16 forever and just
Yeah.
date all the young girls.
Forever 16.
He's like, hey, do you know what the best thing about being a shapeshifter is? I can shift into a younger form.
Yeah. I can enter
But
into a
so
younger
I
body.
like the idea that you're arrested for statutory rape, and they don't check your your birth certificate or your ID. They check your skin cells, and they're like, "Oh, he's only 15. It's fine."
I imagine that'll be like in the follow-up. That'll be how Beast Boy gets caught and his fall from grace, and you'll be like, "No, it's my skin cells. They're only 15. I'm only 15, guys."
Oh, this guy, he's got 1,000 followers on Twitter, and he's on Bebo
Yeah.
and MySpace. He must be 15.
Yeah.
They're like, your Twitter account has been active for 7 years.
Yeah. By the way, in the flashback, Beast Boy's like, "Do you hear about this new Twitter thing?" And then in the modern day, he's like, "Hey, I got 1 million followers on Twitter. It's great." The team by the modern day team is, we mentioned Beast Boy and the others. It's also Terra, who's a Earthbender. It's also new Robin, who is Damian Wayne, who is Batman's son. And he's kind of like a serious asshole, like we gotta stay serious, do our mission and shit like that.
Yeah, he's kind
And-
of like a young Batman.
yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, come on, we need to do our mission.
But he's a lot more violent and uses swords and kills people.
Yeah, and then there's Raven, who's from the cartoon, Shadow Lady, who's a demon dad stuck in her head. And
Which they just dropped. They're like, "Oh yeah, Raven's dad is stuck in the gem in his head." Is that from one of the other movies, Owen?
Yeah, well, it's kind of the main plot point
Oh,
of the
okay.
previous Teen Titans movie.
That makes more sense.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that makes more sense.
But I would be nervous, wouldn't you, about just if I was Raven, just going to take a shit or something like that would be
I always think about
a
this.
worrying experience.
There's superheroes Marvel's Captain Marvel, who share bodies with a younger kid version of themselves, and I always wonder do they watch each other's shit and stuff?
I mean,
Have you ever considered when you go to the bathroom or something like that, or
Santa Claus is watching.
you perhaps, I don't know, one evening you decide to pleasure yourself. You think, are all my dead relatives
toilet?
gathered around watching me? Oh yeah, have you never had a Blumpkin? You should try it. It's great.
you don't need to tell me about Blumpkins. Okay?
I invented them, motherfucker.
Darryl's an
Wait,
immortal.
you invented Blumpkins.
He's an immortal shapeshifter that's been around for thousands of years, coming up with fun sex things.
So our team member is Blue Beetle, who has a beetle, like an alien bug on his back that tries to kill the rest of the team members.
He's constantly fighting for control of like his armor. So he's basically like Iron Man if the Iron Man suit wanted to kill everyone all the time.
Yeah. And is there anyone I'm forgetting?
No, I think that's everybody.
Yeah, so I think that's everybody. And they're on a mission infiltrating this base full of hooded figures. And
Darryl, tell us what cult this is.
This is the cult. Well, when you hear a cult, usually you think like there's a negative connotation to it. You're like religious fanatics, they're evil. But this is an evil cult. This is called the Cult of Blood.
Yeah.
And I know you're thinking that's pretty evil, but it's not. Their leader is Brother Blood. I know you're thinking that's pretty evil, but it's not, because blood is the life force that's in everyone. And Brother Blood really likes bathing in the blood of people. Like literally, there's a scene of him naked bathing in blood of Obama.
So he basically talks to. They do this in every single fucking adaptation of Brother Blood. I asked Ryan if this is in the comics too. Apparently it is. But when I watched an Arrow, I thought it was dumb too. They have this guy called Brother Blood, and he's like, I love blood. I just love bathing in blood. And people are like, isn't that bad? Like, aren't you evil? He's like, no, you need blood to live. It's good. And
Blood is the water of life, man.
Exactly.
Have you never heard the phrase, blood
yeah.
is thicker than water?
Have you ever heard the phrase blood? Drink it, you'll grow stronger.
Have you ever heard the phrase, got blood?
So this guy looks like Obama, interviews him, and he's like, "Oh, I guess you have a good point, Mr. Blood." And then after the interview's over, Blood slits his throat and like bathes in his blood and dances in there. He's like, It's questionable whether I'm a bad guy."
But okay, slitting his throat and bathing his blood isn't on TV. That's
yeah,
not part of the interview.
That's when he reveals the audience is a bad guy. But I think we figured it out pretty early before that.
Yeah, so it was like, no, we're not evil.
Yeah.
So they get some information from Brother Blood's cult, but like the main villains escape or whatever. And then this is something that we haven't mentioned whenever we've talked about the Teen Titans, but I want Darryl and Owen's opinion since they're not super into Teen Titans.
Can I just say, I think at this point I was asleep.
Okay. So the Teen Titans...
I don't blame you. The Brother Blood stuff is boring and irrelevant.
Yeah. So the Teen Titans, it cuts back to them at their headquarters, and they live in a giant T. How do you guys feel about that?
Dumb as shit.
I never thought about that at all, but Darryl is right. That is dumb as shit because that is so architecturally unsound.
Like, and this has been a thing. It is still in the most recent Teen Titans book that launched like 8 months ago or a year ago. The first arc ends with them unveiling their headquarters, and it's another giant T.
Like, it makes sense.
Dude, you got to have the Titan Tower.
No, you want to have like a logo or like a T on it. You don't make
the
building
it's a cornerstone of the Teen Titans. It'll be like Batman without his Batarang.
That's also a fair point because like, why would you have a cave? Why would you put your lair in a cave with bats everywhere, shitting on your shit? Like, but you do it because that's what you do. That's your Batman. Your Teen Titans are in the tower.
What about two skyscrapers glued together in a T shape? It doesn't make perfect sense. I don't understand
and
what you're
also,
saying.
they're not even like in a city. They're in the middle of the bay. So it's like, hey, blow up our headquarters. There is no one around that'll get hurt except for us. There's like, it'll take a while for the police to get there. Like, just blow it up.
And it's really structurally unsound.
I mean, if you were piloting a drone...
Yeah,
plus if you're piloting a drone, you could not miss it, could you? You'd be like, it's the thing that looks like a fucking giant T.
Yeah.
So what happens?
So this is when we get a bunch of like exposition on who the team is, but we basically talked about that already.
Yeah.
Tara's really angsty and all the other shit we said. Yeah. And Brother Blood is also hiring Deathstroke, who apparently is back from the dead. I assume he died in a previous movie, Owen?
Maybe.
Probably.
Were you asleep during those movies?
Deathstroke the Terminator, he puts people to sleep.
That's true.
Permanently.
He's doing his job on Owen. Owen's like, oh, Deathstroke's on TV.
And they meet in a graveyard for some reason because they're so edgy.
No, it's because Brother Blood's there and he's like, I love like being around dead ancestors. And even Deathstroke's like, you are weird. I don't like this.
Yes. But they also have like these character building moments with Teen Titans. They're kind of like bad sitcoms where like Starfire is dating Nightwing and she can't cook, and it's like, oh no, I'm an alien princess warrior, not a cook, ha ha ha. And
they move in together.
He's like, shut up, get in the kitchen.
Yeah, get in the kitchen.
they're in a terrorist base, and this is when Nightwing gives her a key to the apartment.
Yeah, and they're like, we should take our relationship to the next level. Well, like, I always annoys me because, like, I get, like, you want to have light-hearted comics, but they make it a light-hearted comic movie and not a serious movie about betrayal and death.
Bathing in people's blood.
Yeah, and have this quippy banter where they're fighting all these guys, and it's not like we're fighting for our lives. It's like we're having a fucking joking scene where we're talking about a relationship while we're beating
like
people.
they have one instance where Nightwing's attacking a guy, and then Starfire has to cover behind him, like, make sure to watch your back.
I'm sick of always watching your back. You have to be careful.
Yeah,
dick and all this shit. And then we also get Blue Beetle's in the soup kitchen. He immediately falls in love with the first girl he sees, and that's the character development.
That's Tracy 13.
Who the fuck? I don't know.
She becomes a Teen Titan later, and she dates Blue
who
Beetle.
doesn't become a Teen Titan?
They actually have in the comics, like, there's a story where a villain beats up a Teen Titan, and, like, the Teen Titans show up saying, once you fight one Titan, you fight all of us, and there's, like, a whole army of Teen Titans, and the whole scene is that one villain just killing all of them, basically, ripping off their arms and shit.
He rips off one guy's arm and beats him with it.
Yeah.
Is he Teen Prometheus?
No, he's actually...
Yeah, we're not getting to no, we're not getting into that.
We're not getting into it. Because the character is just Sly, but with Superman
powers.
It
literally is. But
Just Sly.
he shows up and he's like, this new continuity is bad. I wish comics were the way they used to be.
Yeah. But so then they have like a training match where they spar off of each other. Nightwing fights Starfire, Beetle fights Raven, Beast Boy fights Terra, and then we basically the whole time Terra has been having these flashbacks to her childhood. And just to sum it up, her parents found out she had powers. They called her a witch. They tied her up to an ATV. They dragged her around, and then they're about to shoot her in the head. And that's where we see for now.
Which is really, really messed up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, Owen, you mentioned you read the book recently before this episode, right?
Yeah.
And I know we talked before the record about how this scene is such like a cornerstone of the book. How is it different? I'm trying to set you up so you have something to say.
we can save that for later, Ryan, because that's
well, I mean, I just want Owen to be a part of the episode.
I haven't got a fucking clue.
We're talking about Donna Troy and how it's like this strong female thing.
Well, now you put him on the spot. Now he can't say anything.
Well, I'm just trying to...
No, but he keeps asking me questions like, I don't fucking know.
He was asleep, Ryan. Let a man sleep. He's trying to sleep in his
I did
podcast too.
Well, I like it.
Let the man sleep.
You
no, I did see.
before.
I definitely saw this scene, but I don't remember it being in the comic.
You just talked about it 20 minutes ago!
What he said was Donna Troy and Starfire were sparring with each other.
Oh, that yeah, but you were telling me about the. I thought you were talking about the ATV scene.
Oh no!
No, the fight scene.
Oh, okay. Well, then you got to make it clear.
Yeah, you gotta be
really
fucking.
bad at this.
You gotta make yourself more clear, Ryan.
Okay, let's try take two. So, Owen, before we recorded, you were talking about this fight scene in the book. Do you want to elaborate on it a little bit?
Well, yeah. What I thought was interesting in the book is that they have a character that's not present in the film right until the end. So, it's, sorry guys, it's a huge spoiler here.
Oh! I fell asleep
Wonder
at the
Woman's sister,
Yeah, Wonder Girl.
Donna Troy, she's part of the Teen Titans. She's like one of the older ones, and she has like a face-off against Starfire. I couldn't remember her name because I was thinking Firestorm. Or
Firestorm,
Firestar,
Night
all that crap.
Fire,
Yeah.
not Firewing.
And yeah, they just have this battle where Donna Troy is kind of completely outmatched, and Starfire is saying about how she trained every day as a warrior, and she's kind of giving her pointers. But it is a completely different dynamic to what we see here, which is kind of like a bunch of kids fighting in the playground.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's
There's because that's the reason why this continuity shit sucks with these movies. Because in the comics, it was the iconic team of the cartoon. Cyborg, Wonder Girl's not part of the cartoon, but it was that team plus a few extra characters. And I think taking out Cyborg and Wonder Girl makes the story a lot shittier. But we'll get into that more.
Okay.
yeah, because I think you need to have like these mentor figures.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think they don't really. I mean, Starfire and Dick Grayson, Nightwing, are supposed to be those characters, but
they don't act like it.
It doesn't have the same level of gravitas because they're not still on a level with the full adult heroes. I think.
Yeah, and also
Yeah.
their shtick is there's too much quipping and that sitcom shtick with their relationship, because like even while they're fighting, Starfire's like, "Wow, Dick, that's as long as you lasted with me," and everyone's like, "Ha!" And he's like, "No, he's actually quite proficient in bed. I'm just talking about combat." And it's like, "Ah."
That's a weird thing too, is they make jokes like that, and it's like so lighthearted you could watch it with an 8-year-old, the movie, until they bring up stuff like that, or like when Beetle is talking to the girl and then he gets aroused and he tells like the scarab in back of him starts trying to like it thinks
Attack
he's in
her.
danger, and he has to run into a back room, and he's like, "Don't you know what sexual attraction is?"
Yeah, I mean, he's got a boner. Like, relax, dude.
And the thing is, like, there's no sense of history in the team. Like, they mentioned that Nightwing hasn't been on the team for a while. He's been gone. And Beast Boy, even though he was in the flashback and has apparently been on the team longer than Starfire, acts just as, like, dumb and childish as, like, the brand new team members, like Terra. So it's really, like, you have no sense of their relationships at all.
Yeah, especially Beast Boy. But I mean, I guess he's got to act that way if he's pretending to be 15.
Yeah, you gotta get the appearance up before people question him. Like, one day Nightwing's gonna say, "Beast Boy, you've been 15 for a long time." But so because of her non-flashbacks, Terra attacks Beast Boy too hard, and then everyone's like, "What happened? What's wrong?" And Terra's like, "Good for me. I don't want to talk about it." And that's one of her things, is that she's like very like private, and she's like, "I don't want your sympathy. Fuck off." And Robin,
Yeah, there's a difference between she's both like very private, and she's both like, "Ugh, love. Who needs that? Like, I hate you all."
Yeah, and Damian Wayne, Robin, follows after her because he's like suspicious of her because he's Batman. Like, Batman's always suspicious of people. And then when he follows her, he was right to be suspicious because she's working for Deathstroke, and the two of them beat the shit out of Damian and capture him.
Yeah.
Terra's working for Deathstroke. No.
Yeah, so that's the twist.
Elaborate a little bit more on the relationship between Deathstroke and Terra that we learn about now.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Oh, and you take it. You seem
take
the
it.
most upset.
Yeah.
This really shocked the shit out of me when I saw this, because what happens is we get like a scene that's just, Deathstroke and
it's him without his mask.
Terra just hanging out.
So
This is like a little snapshot of what their life is like, and he's sort of hanging out in the kitchen, and she comes in and she's dressed in this kind of, would you call it like a teddy? Like a revealing,
Yeah.
like,
She has like
a
night
pink
dress thing.
magenta.
she has like makeup on.
It's
Stuff
like a
that.
negligee.
She's got this terrible like slapped on makeup, and
Like, it
as
looks
soon
like
as she
a-
walked in,
It looks like in those movies, like those horrible, like, it looks like she's a little kid dressing up
Yeah.
like a prostitute.
Looks
Yes.
like a little kid trying to dress up what adult thinks is pretty for her crush,
Yeah.
which is this 80-year-old man.
And if any listeners don't know Deathstroke, he's totally gray, and he's like a war vet, so like, he's got to be at least like 40.
Yeah.
now see, if this was in like Taxi Driver or some kind of like 70s gritty exploitation movie, I'd be like, wow, that's a really effective scene. That's really shocking to see what should be like an innocent young girl with a whole life ahead of her, naive and
Yeah.
needs
Yeah, like
someone
Leon.
to take her through life. But subverting that to her trying to sexually arouse and get an interest from this guy that she lives with, who she kind of worships, I'd be like, wow, that's really powerful. But then I think this is a cartoon.
That's the thing about one thing I would say about these any movie or comic I read is that I love ambition, and Darryl hates it. He wants it to be pure dumb or pure good. But that's why I don't like these movies that much generally, because they don't have that ambition. This reminds me a lot of The Killing Joke in that it's taking some dark material and it could do some interesting stuff with it, but then it treats it like a regular cartoon at certain points, and you're just like, this just feels like a regular cartoon. Like, it doesn't feel like. I mean, we also talked about it with Killing Joke. Like, it doesn't seem like there's pretty much care into like different subplots they're putting in. Like the Nightwing Starfire sitcom shit never leads to anything. Like, it's just there for jokes. The relationship doesn't go serious or anything like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's no, and like one thing they do in the comics is while Terra is betraying the team, they have all these different moments with her, and they're like, "Oh, Terra, you're our best friend. We love you," and because she has a contact in her eye that video records everything they're doing. So in the comics, they keep cutting back to her eye vision of them recording these private moments. So it seems like an intimate moment, but to Tara, it's just moments for Deathstroke to record. And that could be like, if they actually cared about this movie, they could do interesting stuff with that, like showing the distance between her and the team. But they don't do anything interesting like visually or anything. It's just a cartoon with uneven tones, basically.
Yeah, so like...
Yeah, it's just that it's really inconsistent because it's so jarring. Like you say, you have these like light sitcom-y things, and then you have this seriously dark thing, which I'm just like you say, it's great to aim for something and be ambitious, but when you got a film with such a kind of by the numbers plot and like this silly nonsense going on, and then to have something that kind of problematic, I guess.
And
so
the way
it's like a minefield, and I'm like, if you're gonna give the time to really explore this and go into it, then great, but it's just kind of like a cheap way of trying to up this ante a bit.
Yeah, and I feel like they hit beats that they just feel like they have to, that the book kind of avoids, because like the next scene, it's Tara, they throw Tara a surprise party, and I guess it's supposed to be like her feeling bad of betraying them, and maybe they're not as bad as she thinks, but she's already captured and tortured Robin at this point.
Yeah.
Like, if there was a doubt for her, she would maybe let him go, or it just doesn't go anywhere. I feel like the writers just were like, oh, well, this is what you're supposed to do in a story like this.
Yeah, and so by the way, that party, they have it in the empty gray room, and like it's the most dour setting for a party, and but I don't know what they're too lazy to actually design it.
They strung up like a happy birthday. That was it.
Yeah, but like it was like aside from that one banner, it was like a gray empty room. Like
they're superhero slides, not interior decorators.
Oh, it's also one nice touch that I wish they followed up more on. It's not actually her birthday party. I misspoke. It's her anniversary of joining the team.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Which could be a nice, like, see, we do value you here, but it's not really.
I mean, we get a montage over music of pictures being taken.
And also, instead of having the 5 years ago showing Starfire meeting Nightwing to set up their stupid sitcom romance, why not have the first appearance of Tara, where in the comics she was rescued by the team?
Yeah, that's a good point.
From terrorists,
and
that's
movie's
why
about her mostly.
Yeah, like what the fuck is the point of that fight? Like you have a flashback. Why not have it be tied to the actual plot and give us a better sense of her relationship to the team?
Yeah,
whatever.
Yeah.
I guess that they wouldn't do that though, because her motivation for doing what she does is she's grateful to Deathstroke for saving her. It's kind of the same thing.
But in the comics, by the way, first of all, one thing the comics was better is in the comics it was a long-term plan by Deathstroke, because it was a different group than the Blood Cult, which I hate the fact they use the Blood Cult because that adds magic elements, while in the comic it was just like a Hydra-like organization called Hive. But reason why Deathstroke does the contract is because he's like I don't do superheroes. It's too public, too messy. But his son, the Ravager, is like he was like more reckless. So his son took up the contract, and he died trying to kill the Titans. And so Deathstroke is like, I don't want to take this contract, but I will resolve it for the sake of my son's legacy, but for the sake of my son's reputation. And I will close this contract out for him. And first of all, it makes Deathstroke much more interesting than he is in the movie. Second of all, it makes more sense, the long-term planning here, because Deathstroke had Tara on the team before the Blood Cult even hired her. Because in the comics, he sets up the Titans rescuing her from terrorists as a part of his master plan. So you just take all that, and now she was on the team for a year before he even took this contract.
Yeah, it's great. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Why? And it also a year is such a ridiculously long amount of time. No one's going to say, "I want you to kill the Teen Titans, get rid of the Teen Titans." Let's say I'll give you 18 months to get it done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, I get the sense as well when you sort of are seeing Tara as a character, she feels like she's been in the team for like a month.
Yeah, she does.
A year.
Yeah.
She doesn't act like she's been in for a year.
That was the weird thing when they throw the party and they're like, "Oh, Tara, it's like your year," and it's like she actively like despises them. How could she stay here for a whole year without like changing any opinions on that? Like she hates Beast Boy and his advances on her.
But one thing to go off of Owen's point that like a year is such a long time, when she does actually betray them, and spoilers, everybody gets kidnapped, it's not like it's super specific. like this took a year to find out their
Yeah, it doesn't.
weaknesses. It's super like, oh, that seems like something I could think of in 2 minutes.
That's another thing. In the comics, one of the reasons why this was such a big event was because, this is back when secret identities were a big deal, and Tara finds out all the secret identities, and she gives them all Deathstroke. And that's now not only did the team like just get betrayed, now they're never gonna feel safe ever again because Robin is worried like if he knows I'm Robin, he might figure out who Batman is, and now I might have endangered my entire family. And like there's all these elements, but the movie doesn't really have secret identities at all. Like none of that is even brought up in the movie at all.
Yeah.
So
the other thing with Terra as well is she's ridiculously OP.
Yeah,
she can literally raise a mountain.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, you just get them all in that like really structurally unsound headquarters,
and they live in the middle of the ocean. Like, just knock over
They live
the
in
thing.
a tea.
Knock over the tea, and
you can
they'll
make an
just
earthquake
die.
happen that T will not go by itself, and you have plausible deniability. Like I was just not home at the time. They all die.
When she has nightmares, she creates earthquakes in bed that was knocking over like everyone in the tea facility, knocking them around.
So they attack. The Teen Titans have a mission. They attack a base. When they attack this base, they see photos of themselves that Tara took. And they're like, oh no, we have a mole. How could they have figured out these photos?
Or someone that
I
had been
just-
following them for a long time, not just a mole.
I just really want to point out how obvious it is the whole time that like Tara's a villain. Like she's such a piece of shit to everybody.
Yeah, and she's the only one that doesn't have like any like close friendships with anyone. Like who else would it be? I guess maybe Raven, but even Raven's like. Even the funny thing is, Raven's more friendly than her. Even though Raven's defining feature is that she's very cold and distant.
It must be like but Raven was like the main protagonist of the last movie, so it can't be Raven.
Yeah, well,
That's true. That's true.
It's like because everyone in it has obviously been like even Raven has been in the team more than a year, so it's like, well, we've got a mole. Tara's only been in for a year. That would be the first port of call.
Why not
wouldn't
Blue Beetle, huh?
oh yeah, Blue Beetle, whatever.
At the 1 year anniversary, they have it's one of the movies like few heart to hearts where it's Tara and Beast Boy talking on a beach, and she's always hated him because he's like constantly hit on her and tried to like be with her. And he tells her they're having a heart to heart, and he tells her pain is what makes a hero. Pressure either turns you into diamond or turns you into dust. And then they kiss after, and he's like, he's Beast Boy. He's like, woohoo! So it's transforming and like running around the beach because he finally kissed a girl, I guess.
Now here's the
That
thing.
was the
After
most...
being a 15-year-old for 20 years, he finally kissed a girl.
I don't wanna.
That was the most awkward scene, though. That like really awful celebration.
Yeah.
Like it was just I don't know. It just did not work.
They're trying to capture a fun, quirky character of Beast Boy, but it just feels like they're imitating what other people have done with fun, quirky characters. Like it never feels like he's naturally charming or funny in any way.
Now
he's much pervier in the comics.
Yes,
I find.
that is true.
Like-
He's very like aggressively sexual harassment.
Yeah, even though he knows that Starfire is with Nightwing, he's always
it's true.
like talking about making babies with her. And
It's
stuff
true.
like
I forgot
There's
about
a
that.
scene where, because he's rich in the book, he has a maid, and the maid is like, he turns into a cobra and strangles me until I kiss him. That's like horrifying.
Yeah,
Wow.
he's a perv.
Yeah,
I'm so
but
like I'm learning things about Beast Boy, and my view of him's dropping rapidly.
the comics canon did an episode on the book of the Judas Contract that they talk a lot about Beast Boy's like aggressive sexual harassment that I think everyone should listen to. But this scene is one of my favorite scenes in the movie. I know you Sly and Owen didn't really like it that much, but I agree
liked
with
it.
Darryl that I thought it was touching. The only thing though, in the book, this scene basically happens like word for word, but Beast Boy turns into like a bird and flies away and does the Yahoo thing once. In the movie, they sit on it for so long.
He also transforms into like different animals doing it.
And it's just like
gorilla, isn't it? First?
and it's him cheering over and over and over again for probably a good like minute and a half, and it's really really uncomfortable. And then it
she's
leads
just
into
watching him celebrate his kiss with her, and she's like, ha, ha, ha.
when I feel like most 15-year-old boys when they have, or 15-year-old anybody when they have a kiss, they're like, that was so good, let's continue to do this.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
you sit there and talk to them. You don't run off like right next to them and start running in circles, going woohoo.
Yeah.
Like again, it's
No,
it
I
goes
think
back
what you
to-
do when you're a 15-year-old boy is you go, right, that was really good. Don't ruin anything. Push all your feelings down as low as they
Yes.
can go, and act as cool as you possibly
Just
can.
try to walk
Don't
away
say
and try not
anything.
to trip on your way out.
Yeah.
And again, it's that weird combination of like lighthearted, like I kissed a girl, I'm gonna celebrate, along with her like trying to seduce a 6-year-old man to have sex with her.
Yeah, and also they hint that like Tara is like maybe having feelings for Beast Boy, but Deathstroke calls her on her comms saying, "Good job, I almost believed in myself," and like that's part of her. Like I'm suggesting that might be part of her act, and we're like, oh, audience, like, oh, do we know she faking it
Yeah.
or whatever?
Yeah.
And
I
this
always
is-
find this really like strange though, the arrogance of these characters. To because like as a man, even though Deathstroke's obviously just using her, and he's kind of like just getting her to do what he wants. I think I don't know about you, but men generally can be quite
jealous,
what's the word?
worried.
Jealous, but I was going to say like controlling and sort
Yeah.
of possessive.
Yeah,
And I can't believe that he didn't. He's so arrogant that he's like, yeah, this is all fake. There's no way that she does have genuine feelings with him, even though she spent a year with him and I haven't seen it.
Deathstroke is a entire movie. Like I could keep going on, but like in the comics, he's written more like an actual human being, which is why
Well, this story is kind of given as Deathstroke's origin in the comics.
Yeah, it is, but like even in the ways presented in the comics, like this is why I hate Deathstroke in modern representations, and I kind of like him in the original Teen Titans comics. Because Teen Titans comics, like he was like a badass killer, but he had to actually work for it. Like he actually, like here the plan seems superfluous. It just seems like they have this plan, the Judas Contract plan, because the comic had it. But it was actually, like I said, he was trying to set Tara up in the team and all this stuff because he knew he had this long-term contract set up by his son. He wanted to avenge his son, and like even while he's setting up this contract, he's like, I have to do this contract because I can't be the Teen Titans 101. I have to respect his enemies. But in the movie, he's just like the generic badass, like I'm too cool for this. I can kick all your asses. Like you're all overrated. Like I don't even need this shit. Like I really hate the way he's written. Like it's just like the generic badass fucking. And like he does the same thing like Owen said, where he's just like, I'm so confident, like I know you won't betray me because I'm a nice show girl. Like it's like
So, do you think Deathstroke just watches out of Tara's eyes the whole movie?
even while she's pooping.
He's like Raven's dad. It's just like,
Yeah,
okay.
just watching the whole
Oh,
time.
brilliant!
Although I have a
Yeah.
feeling that Raven's dad probably does not want to see all that stuff. He has no choice though.
They should have had a scene though, shouldn't they, where like there's some sort of joke about how similar they are, that they both got their dads.
If this
in
was
their
well written,
heads.
they would.
Yeah,
they would,
you'd think that they would do that, but no, they don't do it at all.
The comics also probably because Raven was a big factor in the last story, but Raven is the only one that really doesn't trust Tara in the comics, and it's kind of like this ironic thing because Raven's like used people and betrayed people in the past. But she's also an empath, so she kind of basically casts Detect Evil from D&D on Tara, and she's like, I think she's evil, and everyone's like, but Raven, you're like a shadow woman who is creepy. While in the comics, Tara actually tries to put up an act of not being a bitch and being super friendly. So it's this nice dichotomy where the one person who doesn't trust her is like the least trustworthy himself. But movie, no character nuance, no nothing. It's just what it is.
So I want, because I feel like Daryl's the most mad about this. Darryl, I want you to walk us through the montage of how every single character gets captured by Deathstroke,
Okay, so
especially Beast Boy.
yeah, so to capture every character, they set up basically like traps for them, and like for Blue Beetle, it's about just going into the soup kitchen. I don't even think we see how he gets trapped. Like he just goes into the soup.
No, he sits on a chair and the chair electrocutes him.
Yeah.
That took a year of undercover planning.
Do you feel like he likes sitting here?
he likes chairs.
He likes sitting at this place he just started working at 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So yeah, good way to spend the year.
I imagine if like anyone else sat before
Yeah.
him, like his girlfriend, and then it's like, shit, my plan's been foiled.
He's reading a newspaper, and then when Dick Grayson finds the evidence that he was captured, the newspaper's all like charred, and I'm like, that's a little on the nose as evidence.
I mean, who reads newspapers as well?
Yeah, he's supposed to be a millennial.
Yeah, like it goes back to what one was saying, that it sounds like 30-year-olds writing millennials, and they're like, oh yeah, kids read newspapers still. That's still a hip thing to do, right?
Yeah, this is a world where Beast Boy has been on Twitter for 5 years, but Blue Beetle still reads the newspaper.
Can I just say as well, is that you've got to imagine that this guy, Beast Boy, first of all, he has green flesh. He can turn into any animal. He's a superhero on one of the most famous superhero teams of all time. He's in the age demographic for like one of the most fanatic possible fans that you could have, and yet he only has 1 million followers.
Yeah, like...
Are we getting to the logistics of Twitter? Maybe there's not a lot. Maybe there's not a lot of people on Twitter.
Let's fight the real battle here, which is the real battle is that the fact that he goes on the Kevin Smith podcast.
This is the most important thing
okay,
about
we'll
the
get to that in a second. But I think that's the 1 million followers thing is so indicative of like this is obviously written by someone that doesn't understand teens at all. And like they're like 1 million sounds like a lot when it's like not in the grand scheme of internet celebrities.
Yeah, we already.
But okay, so Kevin Smith is in this movie.
Yeah, well, first Starfire gets captured by there's like a package for you, and then she goes outside and it's from Robin, so of course she's gonna open it and get captured that way. And then Beast Boy's thing about getting captured is he really wants to see a Kevin Smith live podcast.
No, he gets invited to be on it.
He's on the podcast.
Oh, okay. Well, I just saw the auditorium. I thought it was gonna. Yeah.
And they actually got a Kevin Smith to voice himself.
And this is because Kevin Smith always says that every DC product is amazing, no matter how shit it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he appears.
I mean, we reviewed his Batman books, and they're shit.
Yeah.
I mean, I got to say, I do like Kevin Smith. I've got a soft spot for Kevin Smith, and whenever he brings out a new movie, even if it's bad, I always think it's interesting. It's worth checking out. But
are you a Yoga Hosers defender?
No, I couldn't even watch more than half an hour.
I ever since I was never the biggest Smith fan before, but when he started smoking weed, that's when he became really bad.
Maybe I'm not sure about that, but yeah, I mean, I probably am a Tusk defender.
Okay, that's
okay.
That's
another discussion right there.
I want Sly and Owen to do a Comrade episode on Tusk because Sly has yelled to me about it for a long time.
I was like, did you hear about this fucking plot? It's a fucking lawless. Fuck.
But anyway, we'll save that. So Beast Boy is invited to be a guest on the Kevin Smith podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he goes in there to see Kevin Smith and said that like the auditorium's completely empty at this con that they're at, which is really surprising. And then he walks up there, and he gets captured because there's a button that says, don't press. And, of course, he has to press it, and then a microphone opens up and shoots darts at him that put him...
Okay, I want to compare this to what happens in the book, and you tell me what's dumber, Darryl. There's this. In the book, he gets a call that's like, we want you to come to this convention. Bring signed headshots. And he's writing out envelopes with signed headshots in them. And
it's the way George killed his wife on
Seinfeld.
But I actually love the way that happens in the comics because Deathstroke actually comes in and he's like, I can't believe that fucking worked. Holy shit, this guy's a fucking dumbass.
That's true. I think that makes it better. Yeah. So, okay.
The thing I was just mad about is just that they name drop like Kevin Smith like 8 times. Like, I can understand when you do it like once because you're like, oh, here's this like, this is funny. It's also like a weird meta thing because he writes for comics. But then he was just talking about the podcast so much that was like, oh my god, is Kevin Smith in this? And he is. He's at the end. I was like, of course.
It is worrying if like, and this is a DC property as well, but it's being sold on the basis that Kevin Smith is in it.
Yeah.
And I don't want to go too hard because, like, obviously, what it is DC is something that he really loves, and I think essentially what it is he wants to work with DC, and so he's not going to burn any bridges. Much like I quite like Kevin Smith, and when the opportunity comes up to work with him, I don't want to go. You on Divisive Issues, you said that Tusk was shit. So I'm not gonna get into that.
I will officially kill Owen's Kevin Smith prospect, saying "fuck you, Kevin Smith. Your shit is terrible." But
I know this is good because now I can be seen. I think you're totally wrong, Sly. I think Kevin Smith is a genius, and he is just not recognised in his own lifetime. But you will see.
Not recognised in his own lifetime.
But yeah, so basically, Deathstroke goes Titan by Titan. He fights Nightwing. He breaks his very tactical plan of fighting Nightwing. He's just breaking into his house and fighting him.
Yeah, he swoops in and breaks through the window, which I was like, all right.
I mean, a year's planning again.
Yeah, and
It
what happens
took a
is,
year of planning to get to this point, swooping through the window.
and basically they fight on this pier, and Nightwing does this thing where he pretends Deathstroke shoots him in the chest, but he has like something blocking it. He falls into water and swims away, and Deathstroke's
And he
like,
also, when Deathstroke shoots him, he's like, "You're a loser," and it's really weird how like petty he sounds.
That's what I mean. Like he's like they're trying to make him like the generic badass. Like I'm so cool, I'm the best fighter. Where in the comics he's like actually like I respect you as a fighter. Let's duke it out.
Did you
properly.
notice that Dick Grayson uses exactly the same technique as Michael Keaton does in the Batman film?
Oh yeah, he does.
Oh yeah.
He's following his idol, his mentor.
I'm surprised he didn't go, "You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts." But like, what was that? Like, because he just puts, what was it? Like a bit of wood.
A block of wood.
Yeah,
Because he
block of
uses
wood.
it to deflect like a knife that Deathstroke throws at him earlier,
Yeah.
like another block of wood.
But I just think, why not just have like Kevlar underneath?
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
Nightwing.
Yeah, I just
Because it was
or,
impromptu.
or have
I
it
don't know.
as use it as something earlier on in the episode, where Starfire gives him this like
Oh, like
shard
you
of
reference
her
it?
home world or something.
Yeah.
Pavlov's
have a
block.
setup
She
and a
does have,
payoff.
she does have like a
basically,
gem, like a magic.
Wait, Chekhov's not Pavlov.
He does have like a magic gem to keep showing in
Yeah.
the movie, but it never
Chekhov's
touches-
magic gem.
It's also
Yeah,
really
check
weird
out the
because
magic, yeah.
he gets shot, he falls in the water, and the next scene is him coming out of the water alive. Like, they don't even give you any suspense or drama that
Wait.
he's dead. It's just like, no, I'm alive. Don't worry.
They're
It
like,
was
it's
a block of wood.
It's Nightwing. We're not going to kill him off, are we?
Yeah.
Wait, you mentioned the magic gem. There is a scene with Starfire's magic gem. And he he grabs it and he's like, she would never leave without this magic gem that they've talked about. And
Oh,
then it
yeah.
doesn't come up. There's literally a magic gem that they could have used.
That's what I was saying. But I forgot they literally seen before. He picks it up saying, "She will never leave out this. This is a perfect opportunity for Chekhov's gun." But, anyway, by the way, Damien was. This is one of the weird things. Damien was tied up this entire time, and it's weird because he's been like tied up to like this rock from
He's not tied up. Terra made rocks go around his
Yeah.
waist and arms so he can't move.
When does he? So he just pees pants because he's been dead for like for weeks.
Yeah. That's all
Can
he
I
does.
ask as
Well, they
well?
make a crack earlier in the movie about how he smells and never showers, so I guess
guess-
it's fine.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, I do this all the time. It's not a problem. But is there any reason why they don't just kill them one at a time? Because
Because Blood wants
Because they
them.
want to put him in this...
Brother blood
This
machine.
The contract is Brother Blood wants their blood for his blood sacrifice.
okay,
Magic
but
shit.
could they not just like kill them and keep their blood in a fridge or something?
Oh, wait, he does say it's fine if they're dead.
That's true. He does say they're fine if they're dead.
Oh, also, another thing with Damien that's ridiculous, the reason why they don't know he's been kidnapped is because Deathstroke took Damien's cell phone and keeps texting Nightwing like, yo, I'm undercover, lol.
And then like
emojis.
he says he's like don't worry, I'm fine. He's like he erases to say no, you're much more of a dick than that, and writes in like fuck you, leave me alone, which I think is actually a pretty good joke. One of the few good jokes in this movie.
But you think they would have some sort of code word or something like that to be like?
But yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty
Especially
good. Well,
fucking
the thing
Damien,
is,
the-
Terra would know that then.
That's true. But
That's
then
true.
it would have
That's
been
true.
cool if they'd have mentioned this fact.
But I think like Damien
Yes.
and Nightwing, since they're bat family, they was specific, whatever. We're analyzing too much.
Yeah.
They
yeah.
use certain types of emojis.
But what
So now
Damien
everyone's captured.
yeah, and also Damien teases her saying, "Oh, you think Deathstroke loves you? He uses you. He uses everyone." And she's like, "Maybe he is using me." And then Deathstroke's like, "I will give you the D later on." And she's like, "Never mind, I trust you." And so
I
they're hooked
really
up.
like that the movie does like a twist where it's about a young girl trying to seduce this old guy, and he's in turn like trying to seduce her with like the prospect of them getting together. It's like just wait till the contract's over. And I promise we'll.
I'll
bang.
give you the
Not
D.
right now.
You will have the D one day. That's
Yeah.
Well, I think the movie's trying to keep it like ambiguous and be like, oh, Deathstroke's pretending like he's gonna bang her, but in the book it's so direct that she's like, we fuck, guys, everyone, audience, we fuck each other. So like, I guess they're trying to make it less clear, but it's still very uncomfortable.
But also in the book, it's also made clear in the movie she's just being manipulated by Deathstroke, while in the book it's all her plan and like she is just doing what she wants to. But again, we'll get into that.
Yeah.
So they're hooked up to this blood-sucking machine, And then
So basically, Brother Blood wants to take all the Teen Titans and absorb their power, and he will become like all of them. Like he'll get all their superpowers.
Yeah, he wants to Mega Man.
So
them.
like absorbing man.
Yeah, he wants to Mega Man them.
yeah, and then Brother Blood's like, where's Nightwing? And Deathstroke's like, I killed him. And he's like, so give us Terra. And she's like, okay. And they tie up Terra, and Terra's like, what? Wait, I betrayed you for this. And everyone's like, yeah, fuck you, bitch, you betrayed us. And now you die
but
too.
She's tied up next to them.
Oh,
Yeah.
at this point, okay, there's a line that I wrote down. It was the only note that I took. Deathstroke, like, not only does he kidnap them and put them all in this machine, but he decides to taunt them in a really, really ridiculous way. And Blue Beetle says, "What did you do to Robin?" And Deathstroke says, "I beat the crap out of him for being mouthy. Like, you never wanted to?" Blue Beetle says, "I'm gonna break you into little bits." And Deathstroke says, "It's good to have goals. I'm gonna have waffles after this."
Oh my.
And it's so, like, what is this? Because we laughed so hard at that, "I'm gonna break you into little bits." And then he's like, "Yeah, but what about waffles?"
That's a joke from Shrek.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm making waffles.
I think it's supposed to be that nonchalant thing of like, yeah, this is easy. It's like in Usual Suspects when he's like, you're going to end up in prison. What are you going to do then, fucko? And he's like, fuck your father in the shower, have a snack.
The best version of this is in Street Fighter 2 when Chun-Li's like, you killed my family and you burned down my village and I swore revenge ever since then. And he's just like, I don't remember any of that shit. And Chun-Li's like, what? You don't remember when you killed my family, burned down my village? And he's like, you see... And Bison's like, when the day Bison graced your village, it was the most important day of your life. But for me, it was just Tuesday.
See, that's a well-written line where
Yeah.
to make it like it was nothing. But, like, that it's nice to have goals. I'm having waffles is such a nothing line. Where it's like the joke is waffles.
It's just like they said, basically were like, remember to put a quip here, and then they forgot to rewrite it later on.
Yeah, it's like something waffles, and they're like, okay, I guess we speak this line.
Maybe
and-
it was actually they said we need to write a quip here, and then they went for waffles. And
Yeah, the deadline was looming, and they're like, fucking waffles, I don't know.
yeah.
And so then they're tied up to the machine. Tara's like, how could you betray me? And Deathstroke's like, my contract's over, I'm going to leave. Brother Blood's like, you can't leave, you have to watch me turn into fucking Mega Man.
Yeah, and he gets, like, Beast Boy's, like, arm and, like, Terra's pants, and it's really weird.
He has
It
a
looks pretty
lot
stupid.
of different colors on him, and that's what I really hate about it. He has elf
Yeah.
ears, a Mega Buster, green hair. He has, like, the yellow guard around his shoulders, and, like, green hair, yeah.
Also, so much of this, like, doesn't make any sense because, like, Starfire's a DNA it's in her DNA because she's an alien. Raven's powers are like from magic.
Yeah.
Blue Beetle's are
Blue Beetle has a scarab. Like, he was
Yeah.
absorbing
Yeah.
the scarab in him
Yeah.
on his back.
and like, why did he want Nightwing? Nightwing's just a guy who's good at jumping around.
Terra is the one you want. Like, he should have been like, Twisted, I wanted Terra all along.
Yeah.
'Cause he's the one that she wants. But also, you can't. And if people are like, "Oh, maybe this was just some in the comics," none of the magic shit was in the comics. They were just trying to kill him, but whatever. And what happens is Nightwing shows up to save the Teen Titans. He breaks them out. They fight. Brother Blood. They kick his ass, even though he's supposed to be OP. And
One thing I want to say, I think all of the animation and the action scenes in this movie are pretty cool.
Yeah.
The thing is, one thing that I had a problem with Young Justice. To make it easier to animate, the characters look less distinctive and interesting. Like, they all use the same kind of face models and everything. Like, the best example in Young Justice was Joker looks just like a guy with face paint. Like, he never feels like the Joker at all at any point. And Bane looks like just a guy from Matt. Like, they don't have any different body types or anything like that.
That's fair.
Like, it just, because I know why they're doing it, because it's easier to animate. Like, the animation does look smooth, but it looks so visually boring to me.
And they do that animator's trick, really, of just having, the same stuff used over and over again, and fairly, like you say, in the background, like people, I'm not sure, like they're even like blinking. You know what I mean? It's just, you notice it. I think is the issue. If you didn't notice it, it obviously wouldn't be a problem. But as Sly was talking, I think, I definitely thought that as I was watching. I was like, the animation it looks good and slick and everything in terms of it's really bold and the colors are good and things like that. But I don't know, it is boring.
The movie itself, like a lot of the other DC movies, at least I haven't watched them fully, but a lot of them have a kind of like made for TV feel to it. Like it doesn't feel like it has a budget of a movie. And on top of that, there's a couple.
To be fair, it doesn't. These are direct-to-DVD movies.
Yeah.
That's true.
I just compared this to like X-Men Evolution, which kind of had a more modern animation style, but there everyone had different body types and stuff. Like there was still visual.
It's not just about like body types. You can see there's a lot of different scenes where they have one thing being animated at a time, which makes it feel very static. Like there's one specifically, like I remember of Tara walking away, and it's just everyone's stuck there still, and Tara just like slowly walks like.
There is one scene.
Like,
that's really weird.
Amount of dialogue frames you'd see in something like TV, in the ways their mouths move. There's specifically one scene, and it's when Brother Blood dies, when he's speaking, that his entire body is animated as he talks, and it looks really like crazy because the rest of the movie isn't animated smoothly like he is when that happens.
So they fight. Tara kills Deathstroke. They beat up Brother Blood. Also, they had this dumb, crazy cold lady who keeps this cold lady. Every time a person finishes any job, like a person drives a truck for a minute, she shoots him in the head, says your service is done. Like that person can't do anything else. Like you drove that truck for 5 minutes, now you're dead. Like
that's their service.
Like you can like how I understand why the fucking writers do this. It's so fucking dumb in a practical sense to have them be like, I know they do it, so they say like, oh, this person's so badass, they don't care about their subversionlings, but it is so dumb. Like they do like one task and they shoot him in the head.
You can't run it. You can't run an organization like that.
Hey man, I saw The Dark Knight, okay, and that was great. So let's just do that again.
And I only bring it up because for Brother Blood they have it come all together, and Brother Blood gets shot in the head. But they fuck it up because she doesn't even say your service is at an end. She just says I ended your pain, and I'm like, you fucked up that one good callback they could have done.
She said like now they can't cage you, like lock them away.
I know, but it would have been more if they're going to make her cold and uncaring. They should have had her be cold and uncaring at the end, saying her service is at an end at the end too, but whatever.
And then Tara, as the place is like crumbling around, Tara gets all the rocks fall on her, and she dies.
Yeah.
And they have to drag Beast Boy away.
It's Tara.
So Tara's dead, and then they do a dumb thing in shit that's poorly written, where they pull her body from the rubble, and she's still alive after being burned alive for hours.
She's alive for like a second, and then she dies.
Just so she doesn't die.
And they always die in like a very graceful way. They just like they kind of like smile at the person holding them up. And
she should be fucking like a mess. Like her flesh should be like ripped off. Like she was battered by fucking avalanche. But no, she looks pretty. She smiles at Beast Boy, and he cries, and she dies in his arms. And fuck you, this is fucking cliche.
Not only that, but this movie does such a weird thing where at the end you're being told like the epilogue by Beast Boy to Kevin Smith for the podcast. So Kevin Smith's like, oh man, that's awesome. I heard like you got like a new member of the team, and Beast Boy's like, yeah, we did, and that shows
It's Wonder Girl. Like she was in this movie, like it counts.
But they don't even say her name, so I was like, okay, this is a thing. And it's like I heard somebody got a dog, and it shows like Raven giving Robin a dog.
Your Kevin Smith impression is spot on, by the way.
And then he's like, oh, so like it's a shame about Tara. It's like, oh no, too soon. And Beast Boy's like, yeah. And then it cuts to him with Tara for the last moment. Then Beast Boy is like, you know what? But it's okay because I know, like in my heart, that Tara was a diamond, alluding to when they discussed earlier about like whether you get pulverized into dust or a diamond. And this is the thing I hate about the movie the most. Tara was not a diamond. She betrayed the team the entire time. The only reason she fought the bad guys is they betrayed her. Not once did she care about her team or like deign to help them. Yeah, she
only fought Deathstroke to kill Deathstroke for betraying her. She never fought him to help the team.
Yeah, it's like that doesn't make you a hero at all.
Yeah.
Okay, one thing I want to. This is the last thing I'm going to point out about how the book does it differently.
I'm going to start ranting about it now, so you better get in right now.
Okay, strap in, boys.
So, the way this book ends, with her, because the Teen Titans were such like a spotlight, like famous team. They have to bury her, and the team has to pretend that she died a hero because her brother is another superhero, and they don't want to like. They don't want him to think his sister was a piece of shit.
Yeah.
So, like, Beast Boy has to stand there and pretend that this woman he loved was a hero, knowing she was a villain. And it's way more... It's so much cooler of a, like, powerful moment. Because they say, like, we can never let anyone know what really happened to Tara.
Yeah.
Because, like, her family deserves a legacy of heroism, not evil.
So they pull a
And, like,
Cyclops.
yeah.
This goes back to what Ryan was saying about they adapt scenes because they happen in the book, but this movie changes a lot about the plot from the book. And one major thing is the whole point of the book is that Tara is evil, like irredeemably so. Like all this, like this basically, because like that's what made the story so different in the comics. Because we all read the stories like this where a person betrays the team, and then like she gets conflicted, like, do I keep betraying them? And usually they're handled better than this, like where she actually redeems herself or whatever, and before dying or whatever. But the movie was trying to adapt a book that was subverting that trope. The trope is the Teen Titans were never confronted with a person like this. They trusted Tara, they trusted into her home, and the whole entire time she was planning to betray them. She betrayed them without any remorse. And even while as she's betraying them, they're like, maybe she had a tragic backstory. Maybe that terrorism thing is what fucked her up. And she's like, no, I am just evil. I want to kill you all. The movie is like, no, it was a tragic backstory. The movie is, she could be saved. And the Teen Titans, while they're fighting her, Beast Boy's like, no, this can't be true. I'm going to try to save Tara from Deathstroke. And Tara's like, you fucking idiot. I'm a bad guy. I am evil. I'm trying to kill you. And they say, like, Deathstroke, you do this to her. And Deathstroke is like, no, she was crazy when I got here. This is like half her plan. Like, she wants to kill you guys. Because all she cares about is power and destroying people like you who are too weak to accept power.
And especially Beast Boy is, like, refuses to accept that, like, she's just evil. And that's... I've never read a comic book story like that, aside from this one. They don't let optimism win. They just don't.
The book is like, Teen Titans are all good people. They're all genuinely good people. They all try to see the best in everyone. They can't fathom the idea that they let Tara into their home. They made, and then in the books also, Tara's not an angsty bitch. She's actually kind of very cliche good. Like, she's very sweet. She kind of looks like a chipmunk. Like, she has big buck teeth. She has freckles. She's drawn very cute, unlike in the movie where she's drawn more like a punk. And she acts very nice, very sweet, all the while recording them, and like, I can't wait to betray you. And it's actually like a funny dynamic, because when she meets Deathstroke, she like starts smoking, and I always imagine her talking like a smoker's voice, saying, yeah, I can't wait to get these do-gooders. and like, it's like, very much all of her tender moments were all an act. And the Teen Titans, even when they're confronted with that fact, they're like, they're all such good people, they can't accept the fact that even with all their love for this person who had no reason to be evil, like her brother was a superhero, she had no tragic backstory, she just is a bad person. They still can't accept it, and the narration makes it abundantly clear. But the movie is like, no, we're going to ignore all this obvious, making it. The book was trying to make it explicitly clear, like it was telling the reader, like, I know you reader are trying to find the good in Tara, but no, she is bad. Like, the narration says that she's dying. Like, some people only know hate, and that's all Tara knows. All she knows is hate. The narration, like, Marv Wolfman, the writer, is not the most subtle writer, and he says, like, she is a bad fucking person. The Teen Titans are wrong. This is the Teen Titans not being able to cope with a bad person at their core. And the movie's like, no, we're going to try to ham-fist it, and not even, like, do it right, because you could maybe force it by changing the plot to work, but they don't even change the plot. The events still play out the way they did. Like, she only wants to kill Deathstroke for betraying her. She only wants to do this and that, but
it's kind of weird to adapt a book but change the message behind it. Because I just watched this movie. I didn't read the book. I had no idea that Tara was evil. I thought what they were trying to do is they were trying to make the story you were saying they were trying to subvert. Where it's like, Tara was good in the end, you know? She did care for her friends. I thought they did it in a poor way. I didn't know that the original had nothing to do with that.
What Sly was saying about her being, like, good is, like, that made her, like, when she attacks Beast Boy because of her PTSD and, like, her nightmares where she shakes the tower, stand out more. Because she's, like, it's cracks in her facade instead of just, like, she's mostly an asshole, and occasionally she's, like, a little bit more of an asshole.
That's what I mean by this being a lazy adaptation, because they wanted to keep the general pacing of the plot and not come up with very new things, but they just half-ass it, where they're making up a complete new message, but they're not changing the pacing of the plot to fit that message.
I don't understand really why they adapted this at all.
Yeah.
Because I feel like there's so much material in comic books that sometimes when they bring out a movie that is only vaguely linked to a comic book character, I'm like, why have you written this entirely original film when you could have adapted something?
Yeah.
Now, you could argue that, as a comic book reader, you don't want to see the same shit you've seen before. But I feel like, I don't know if that's true, really. I think most sort of comic book fans, all they want to see is the stuff writ large on the screen, like stuff that you've only imagined in your head, really sort of coming to life. And I'm just like, why have they picked this particular storyline if they're really not gonna keep the central message behind it? And I do agree. I think that what you're saying, Sly, is that in the comic book she's just straightforward evil.
Yeah.
But I guess maybe I'm subverting it a little bit, but bringing that into the real world, what I took away from it is there are some people that no matter what arguments you use, what you show them, you will never change their mind.
Yeah.
You will never change their core being.
Yeah.
And that does not come across at all in the movie. It's just a fairly bland, unimaginative, by the numbers bullshit story that I'm just like, why, when comics and animation allow you to create whatever you want, there's a budget obviously for the level of animation and stuff like that, but you could have like wars in space, you can have castles coming out of the sea, you can do whatever you want, and it's just so pedestrian and bland.
I understand why they change, like, when they're inspired by, like, maybe shitty stories or important stories that are really dated, I understand why they change them for the adaptation. But if you're going to pick the most popular Teen Titans story, why, if you're going to do it, why, like, change it?
Yeah, at least the adaptation of The Killing Joke tried to be The Killing Joke. Well, I mean, disregarding the first half. But it tried to be The Killing Joke.
Yeah, that's why I kind of think this might be worse than Killing Joke, because at least Killing Joke got the message of The Killing Joke.
I could see that, yeah.
The problem is Killing Joke was trying to pad the runtime, when in reality it would have been better to just fucking have a really short, good, decent adaptation of the comic.
The Killing Joke was the Hobbit trilogy.
Yeah. The Hobbit trilogy.
Oh, yeah. I was like...
Also, I don't understand why they didn't keep Nightwing's original costume from the comic book.
Yeah, that's the most egregious. That's terrible.
Disco Nightwing was way cooler. Pants and a rough collar.
And that's the thing is, in this story, you get debuts of long-running characters like Deathstroke's son, you get Deathstroke's origin, you get Robin becoming Nightwing for the first time.
Yeah.
It's such an iconic Teen Titans story that to strip out all the iconic parts... I understand why you would do that if this was standalone, but if this is in the bigger universe, why do this story if you're not going to have those plot points matter?
Or some of them, because I feel like you can't serve all of that stuff. You know, when you're talking about Deathstroke's son and all the backstory of all this, you can't necessarily do it all. Yeah. But the thing is I feel like they try and serve other characters by giving them nothingy, like little character development points, taking shortcuts to kind of show something.
You're saying it's like you don't have enough room to do Deathstroke's son, but then at the same time we have so much of Blue Beetle hitting on this girl and liking her, and she doesn't even appear at the end of the movie. Yeah,
she doesn't appear at the end. And Deathstroke's son, by the way, is my favorite Teen Titan. He's a guy who was one of the first combo characters. He has throat slit at a young age by Deathstroke's enemies, and Deathstroke was basically cold and like let him take him, like he was basically a cold asshole, and let it happen. And so, but Deathstroke's son is actually a very compassionate person who loves playing piano and painting, and he only fights because he has to. And also the interesting about him is, since he's mute, he never talks unless he uses his power, which is whenever he makes eye contact with somebody, he can enter their body and speak to, and like control them and speak to them and stuff like that. And they do have him in the movie. He shows up as one of the test subjects for Blood or Blood's experiment, and and he's one of the people that they shoot in the head, saying your service is done. And I'm like, why even put him in the movie at that point? Like,
yeah. And then he wakes up at the end of the movie because he has all these powers, but like, nobody except a big fan of the character is going to even know who this guy is.
Yeah.
And if you're a big fan of the character, you don't want him to show up and get shot in the head.
And also, like, Deathstroke is theoretically dead now, so like now is he going to be Deathstroke's son even after Deathstroke is dead?
There were rocks that fell on him. He didn't necessarily die.
If you don't see a body, he's not dead. But like again,
exactly.
But then it's gonna be like Deathstroke for the third fucking movie in this chronological.
Yeah, and like if you're not gonna make Judas Contract your big Deathstroke centric story, why do it?
Yeah.
But
whatever.
Movie sucks. Fuck you, Owen.
Yeah, fuck you.
Thanks, Owen.
Hey, great movie, guys. Great.
10 out of 10, 5 stars. About as good as Tusk.
I mean, it was on a par with Tusk, I think.
On par, not better. Not
Any movie
worse.
of Kevin Smith is great. Kevin Smith, hire me.
Yeah, thanks for being in the movie, Kevin Smith.
So it's time to make our decision.
What
If
decision?
DC released a sequel to this, would you watch it?
Oh.
Slide.
No, we have to ask you properly. Owen, is this a classic or a schmassic?
I mean, normally when I give my rating, I now give like a 20-minute monologue.
Yeah.
But I'll just say, no, this movie was a big part of bullshit, and it would be 100% schmassic, and I hated it. It was shit, and I couldn't even stay awake while I was watching it.
Yeah.
I agree. I think
agreed.
it's a schmassic.
I'm not going to
But
watch any more
but
of these fucking
It's
movies.
just so... I've touched on it before, but just nothing... Things happen in this movie, but they're so cliched and so everything about it we've seen 100 times. It feels like they've literally sat down and go, what are some good things that have happened in movies that you've seen? Yeah, we'll just take that element, we'll take that element. And we've seen all of it.
Not just movies,
thousands
like
of times
episodes
before.
of shows.
There's nothing original about it at all. And it's like,
Yeah.
if you really think about a superhero universe where people have powers, you can explore things that we haven't considered,
Yeah.
but there's nothing original in it at all. It just absolutely sucks, and it's just a waste of everyone's time. Sorry.
Yep, I
Yeah.
agree.
And my $3 that I paid to
No, I mean,
rent
sorry to you. I apologize for wasting all your time.
What about you, Darryl? Do you love this movie? Do you love this Kevin Smith movie?
Why would I love this movie? This movie was dumb and stupid
Yeah.
and like kind of boring and didn't tie together. Ah!
Yeah, it's terrible. So
Cool.
I think we said our piece.
Yeah, so you ready, Owen? We rate this movie a schmassic. So, that's all. I think, does anybody have anything else they want to add?
No.
Fuck you, Ryan.
Yeah,
Fuck
eat it,
all of
Ryan.
us. Fuck this podcast.
Fuck
You
all
paid
of
money
us.
for this. That was the most sinful.
You're the
thing.
real sucker out of all of us.
Yep.
At least I rented it instead of buying it.
Yeah.
You don't want to have on your bookshelf like you have Wanted and all that other garbage?
Fuck. So, I would briefly like to give a plug to the Comrade Radio Network. Hey, Owen, why don't you plug your own show?
Well, if you like good movies that are regarded as being classics, then you should check out Classic Schmassic. And me and my good friend Christopher Mead, we watch a very famous movie that was made before 1980 that we've never seen. We talk about it, our preconceptions of the movie that we've gotten from cultural osmosis. You know, these movies are so big that you know of parodies. You've seen things in other films that you recognise are from a movie despite not seeing it. We stop, go off, watch the movie, come back, and then give our opinions and our classic or schmassic rating about it.
Yeah, it's really great. And this summer, you're doing Summer of 70s, right?
That's right, yeah, because previously we've only done pre-1970s movies, so we decided we'd concentrate just on the 70s, and as I said before, we're getting in some seriously dark shit in the 70s.
Yeah. So I highly recommend all of them. The Young Frankenstein episode that just came out was really, really good. And you guys super hated the movie. So, yeah. And if you can find that at comraderadio.com, same as us. And while you're checking out all those shows, you should rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, wherever you get podcasts. And you should tell a friend, because lately people have been adding their friends to the Oops, I Talk Divisive Issues Facebook group, and it's been awesome. Cool.
Cool.
Okay, let's go and get some waffles.
Yeah, I think we have one more episode before Phil comes back, so I don't know what that's gonna be. We'll figure that out. And then we'll be ready for Edgelord August. Are you guys ready?
No.
I'm always ready. That's my secret. I'm always an
Okay,
edgelord.
Are you serious? Is there really an edgelord?
Yes,
August?
there is.
Oh man.
It's gonna be great. So thank you guys so much for listening to Divisive Issues. I've been the aggressively sexual Beast Boy.
I've been a tweeter.
I've been Kevin Smith. Check out my Kevin Smith podcast at kevinsmith.com. KevinSmith/Kevin Smith.
And I'm Wonder Woman's kid sister.
Stay in continuity.